Welcome to the Great Business Stories of St. Louis. I'm Dr. Mike Smith, Action Coach in St. Louis, Missouri. And today I get Patrick Ritter on from Core Planning. And Patrick, tell us about your company.
Sure. Yeah, Core Planning is a fee-only financial planning firm. There's 37 advisors that are part of our network, and essentially we're all self-employed advisors that provide fee-only financial planning for really a wide variety of customers and clients in St. Louis and also throughout the country.
So how long have you been in business, Patrick? How long has Core Planning been around?
Yeah, Core Planning's been around since probably about 2018, 2019. And I was the first advisor on the platform at the time. Guy Penn is the founder of Core Planning. And it was really his idea to create a farmer's market type of arrangement for financial planners where they could really run their own practices the way they see fit, do it on a fee only basis, and be able to really essentially serve clients the way they want to. That's available throughout the industry, so it's not particularly unique. But I think what makes us unique really is a lot of us are doing other jobs as well. Some of us are building our practice over time. We're able to fully control who we work with and how we help them. So I think that makes us very special in the marketplace. So I just lost your audio there. Sorry.
All right. Thank you for sharing that with us. Um, when you go back to the beginning of your journey back in 2018, being on the first one on the platform, tell me a little bit about the key decisions that you made and your journey through that.
Sure. Yeah. I think this business is a tough one to start, especially in the St. Louis market. There is a wealth of opportunities in terms of other advisory firms for clients to choose from. So, really, in the early days of it, was really a matter of just kind of getting the word out to some degree, starting with personal connections that I had, and also Guy as well too. And in terms of also finding other advisors that might be interested in this opportunity. So, that really was kind of the beginning of it, really experimenting, trying things, arranging different tech stacks in terms of which offerings to provide for advisors. So a lot of experimenting, I would say, and fast learning. So
I would assume so you were the first one in there, and I'm sure become the guinea pig or beta tester of everything, right? So
yeah, that's
all all the struggles and tribulations through those items, I'm sure.
absolutely. Yeah, I was going to say I'm still kind of the designated guinea pig, they call me. So whenever we are trying new things, they usually start with me. Even though core planning started at that stage, I've been in financial services for 22 years. I'm a certified financial planner. I've worked for some of the large firms here in St. Louis. So had a good breadth of experience to bring so that when we were experimenting with things, I at least had some good perspective and some experience to reflect off of. So
Great, great, thank you. When you go back and look at some of the advisors that you have, obviously you started with yourself, and there's a broad number of advisors that are here. And I know that each one of you own your offices independently, but is there a way or a method that you or Guy or others have looked to see who's the right advisor to do that?
yeah,
What kind of criteria do you use?
sure. Yeah. So I think in the beginning, really, we're looking for people that really were of the belief that providing fee only advice and being a fiduciary all the time was really the preferred baseline to start with. And so
And so,
we didn't have other arrangements in terms of product sales or any other types of way to charge customers besides working with them directly and then paying us for that objective advice. And so people that align with and um, and also embrace that are who we're looking for generally. But also too, we really have a really fun culture. So I mean, we really have these weekly hangouts, we call them, just opportunities for us to share best practices. And really, I would say it's a much more, when I say relaxed, I want to say very enjoyable culture at work, much less, I would say, rigid and restrictive like it is in a lot of financial services, in my opinion.
gotcha. So the culture's a lot different. It's a lot more. I heard between the lines independence, I think, in there somewhere.
That's a key
But
part too. And the
yeah.
fun thing about it over time is that, the people that we've attracted to the firm now, we have a lot more CFPs and CFA
Mhm.
professionals that have a good depth and breadth of experience. So that speaks well of the kind of people that are attracted to the core opportunity.
Gotcha. Does your company use any kind of assessments like DISC or e-colors, predictive index, Myers-Briggs, any of those type of things to really look? Because I know that your industry is highly credentialed, right? Credentialed industry, but the others are more personality indicators. Anything that you use to make sure that we, find the right people that are aligned with your vision and values?
Yeah, that's a good question for Guy, actually. So I really couldn't speak to that one in that regard, but familiar with those assessments. I've done a lot of those in my career, but
Mhm.
I think Guy really tries to fit in terms of culture and values, and has his own assessments. But I had to ask him. So
I got you. Got you. Thank you. So, been in the financial services world for a while. You've moved around a couple different firms. I'm sure that you've moved those clients with you. And now that you're at core planning, um, tell me how that transition went from when you went from over to core planning from your previous opportunities.
yeah, well, the interesting thing about my start was that they were with other advisors, so I didn't necessarily have my own book. I was just kind of building it off of people that I already knew, and so
Okay.
I didn't have the start that you see a lot of times where people, they start off really selling and creating business, and then taking their books elsewhere. It's really
Mhm.
building independent practice by itself. And what's helped me a lot is having day jobs as well too, right? So I work in training, and so a lot
Mhm.
of things that I have learned in training to help financial professionals learn is also things I can apply to help customers or clients as well now. And so that's been a major part of what we've done too. So
Going back to 2018, I call it BC before COVID. So, what has changed from you first starting to today, and thinking in minds of the COVID being there and where it's put us at today in different types of media, different types of communications, different types of communications. Can you give me a little bit of update on that?
sure, yeah, I would say meeting in person was kind of the default before the COVID era. I would say probably for a lot of financial advisory firms. So doing Zoom meetings is one way that a lot of us have pivoted or tried to adjust to that need when we needed to. Since then, I've obviously moved back to more of those face-to-face interactions. But I think from a financial planning standpoint, the real big difference has been people are much more, I would say, digitally native now, even than they were before COVID. So when I
Okay.
meet with new people that are interested in our services, I'm usually pointing to the resources on my own phone that allows them to see their own plan in real time, their own assets in real time, so they can see how they connect with their money when they're not with me. And that gives them that, I think, comfort that, there's more to it than maybe before when it was really looking solely to your advisor for information about what's going on with the market. It's more something that is a living and breathing plan that they have now. So that's been
Okay.
somewhat of a change since COVID to some degree.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So, what do you attribute your growth to over the period of years, your career there? But since you've joined Core Planning, you're obviously happy and successful and feel balanced, from the different environments. So, what do you attribute to your growth?
Yeah, I think in terms of my own growth, I've really enjoyed, the ability to have that freedom to do what I want when I want. And that doesn't mean like that sounds like a pre-retirement vacation type of message, but that's not what I'm trying to
Right.
convey. Just
Right.
being that I'm not required to get a certain number of clients or a certain revenue target. It really depends on
Mhm.
whatever I want to do. And so for me, I value a lot more being able to have flexibility and being able to do the things I need to for my family first, maybe other interests or other hobbies I have as well too. And so I think that has really attracted other advisors to the platform also too, because they really have experienced what it's like to start off as an advisor for another firm before, and some of the constraints that are a part of that. And so that freedom that we had to be able to brand ourselves we want, have our own content the way we want, really run our practices the way we want. I feel like that's really attributed a lot of the growth that Core has had as an organization. And then myself personally as well too. I just found that a lot of the own my genuine, authentic connections I have with people through maybe fishing, which is a hobby I'm big into, or
Okay.
F3 is like a men's fitness group I'm a part of. Those are all connections I've made over time that have then led to business opportunities. So,
Gotcha. So, looking at some of the financial advisors who are out there thinking about working at big firms and thinking about their career trajectory. I told you earlier, my son's not a financial advisor, but he works for one of the big financial advisory firms in
Yeah.
St. Louis area that everybody's familiar with. What are some of your biggest learnings that you have? If you go back and reflect back, and I know that technology's changed and some of those things, but what's some of the aha moments like, if I went back and did this again, I might have went right or I might have went left or I might have done something differently, or I'm totally happy where I'm at and glad I did everything I did. So tell
Yeah.
me a little bit about that.
Sure. Yeah. I think it depends on what's important to you, right? So I was never interested in being the fake it till you make it professional. And I feel
Okay.
like a lot of people that come to the field and that are starting off as advisors, they're learning the basics and the fundamentals. I think kind of like sounds like what your son's story might be as well, that you
Mhm.
start off working in a company, understand the different functions of financial planning and investments and how that all works for customers to begin with. You have that foundation and that confidence. So by the time you have to actually have those real conversations with people and look them in
Mhm.
the eyes and say this is in your best interest, it's much easier to do that once you've had that experience. You're not relying upon I've got to make this sale or this client has to be brought on board this year. There's none of that pressure now. So I feel like
Mhm.
in that way, that's been a big aha was working in service operations, marketing and training and product
Mhm.
specialization within the industry has given me a background that I don't have to really lean on or seek out a lot of help because after 20 years, I've got the fundamentals now. So in that way, I wouldn't do things differently. I don't think at all. So.
Gotcha. We touched on a little bit in a few of the questions, but financial advising and the financial services business is a busy one. It's a stressful one. It's a emotional one, I'm sure. So how do you manage your personal life and your business responsibilities to maintain a healthy work-life balance from out, working your own book and growing your own business?
Yeah, that's important. I think really when it comes to trying to grow your business, I try to say that I want to do it in authentic ways. So, how do I incorporate some potential growth opportunities into the things I do normally anyway? So, I mentioned some of my interests around fishing and outdoor exercise, or maybe involvement in church groups. So,
Mhm.
those are all things. If I'm doing that normally anyway, then those opportunities kind of come along just as a byproduct of it. So, just be your authentic self. And if people really find that you're a smart person that's got their stuff together and organized, then they will give you a chance potentially. So,
Mhm.
I found that's been helpful in terms of like actually managing time wise and that work life balance. I did mention that F3 is like that outdoor men's exercise group. So that structure, that
Mhm.
stability you get from doing hard things first thing in the morning, time
Mhm.
blocking your schedule throughout the day as being times that you're on or off. Those can help you a lot in terms of maintaining that balance. I think, in my opinion.
Great. So owning your own financial services firm, there's a lot of misconceptions. We all have family and friends, right? And there's a perception out there, oh, you own your own business, you're independently wealthy and you can buy Lamborghinis and go to Hawaii and things, right? What are some of the common misconceptions that your friends and family have about the business that you're in, and how do you address them?
Yeah, I say the big one is people think that if you're in this line of work, that your focus is really on the acquisition of wealth, right? So, what's a good stock to buy, or what should I do with my money now to get the best rate of return? And in
Mhm.
reality, if you're really a competent financial planner, you're really looking at where are the downside risks as well. And so, a lot of times they may find our advice to be sometimes maybe kind of boring. Maybe it's not as exciting as what they're seeing on CNBC or on YouTube these days. And so that's for a purpose, though, right? That advice you're getting elsewhere in the world, it's not aligned with, it's not held to the standards that we are in terms of what's going to be the outcome if you follow that advice. And so it's a completely different way of looking at really what value is that is provided by a professional. Because if you really were just looking for the next best investment idea or how to make money, uh, really, if you have a good professional in your corner, their advice probably won't be super sexy and exciting. It's
Exciting.
going
It's
to
just
be in
one
your best
your best.
interest, and it's going to be helping you increase your probability of having a positive outcome financially.
Gotcha. So we'll um, we'll wrap up here in a moment, but I did want to ask you, one last question. When you look at, I wouldn't be a good commentator if I didn't ask the question. So we got a presidential election coming up. I heard the rates were cut a little bit yesterday. Today's September 19th. So what's your magic pill? And I know you can't, but things up or down, arrows up or down, thumbs up or down, or equal coming up for us at the end of the year.
In terms of what happens between now and the election and the end of the year,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
would say for most of my clients I work with, they really are still long-term focused, right? So, if we were really scared about the election and what potentially might happen, we might have taken some steps before this week, for example, to maybe reduce
Right.
our stock allocation so that we have less risk on the table. Well, if you did that this week, you're looking like kind of silly because we've had this rate cut and now the markets have made another run up, right? Nobody knows what's going to happen, so it's
Right.
important to have a plan to begin with and stick with that plan. So the short-term gyrations, what happens with um, the political world and such, it really is been inconsequential if you look at history long term. And making short-term decisions like that can really actually impair your odds of success. So I would say try to reduce your attention to the noise if possible.
Great. So I'm in a lot of the business networking groups, BNI, Business Networking International, and I'm in the Number Nine Network and also in the ACA Club down in Chesterfield. So saying that, who is your ideal referral partner?
Yeah, I would say my ideal referral partner is someone who knows this person that they're referring and what they value. So, if they value really outsourcing the things they don't have time for, they don't like to do necessarily, they maybe just want to have a objective partner in their corner to kind of help them make financial decisions objectively. If I'm looking for a partner that has those kind of connections, those kind of people in their circle. And so it's probably less likely people that have a lot of DIY investor connections, but maybe people that are busy professionals. They have a lot on their plate, and there's a lot higher and better uses of their time than some of the things that we can get wrapped around the axle on, like how to invest my stocks before the election, right? So if they're spending their time on that, they're taking that time away from other things in their life that are important. So people that have their values aligned with that point of view, I would say would be kind of the ideal person to refer. So
Perfect. Thank you very much. Tell us again the name of your company and how someone may get a hold of you as they're watching this video.
sure, yeah, Core Planning is the name of our firm overall, and then in terms of how to get a hold of us, you can find us on www.corepln.com is our company's website, and you can look at our team tab, and all of us are there, myself included. But that would be a place to start to learn more before you would reach out and maybe schedule a meeting on Calendly or something like that.
Thank you for spending this time with me today. Any other questions that you have for me?
I think right now I'm good. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
Again, this is Dr. Mike Smith from Action Coach in St. Louis, and thanks again for another episode. Have a great day.